But let's start with the Birmingham Bowl. We have Troy, a 7.5-point favorite against Duke. This game carries an over-under of 44.5 points. It kicks off at noon Eastern on ABC from Protective Stadium, which houses UAB and is one of our 13 primary FBS stadiums hosting bowls. Duke, lots to go over here. They turn over the entire coaching staff. Riley Leonard, of course, transfers to Notre Dame. They could be without 7 other starters, 5 defensively. And I still haven't heard anything on their star defensive lineman, Dwayne Carter. So it really could be more than that. Duke is going to be very short-handed. I don't think there's many teams that are more ravaged or even as cleaned out as Duke is here between injuries, transfers, and the NFL draft, and, of course, those coaching changes. On the other side, though, Troy is turning over their coaching staff as well, but they don't have the same personnel changes that Duke has here. They played in just one-score game during Sun Belt play, won their last 10 consecutive games, including that Sun Belt championship. I mean, Troy is absolutely rolling. Of course, they're not under John Summerall anymore, but what a job he did in his 2 years there in Alabama. An interesting question that I posed when looking at this game. Are Duke's number 2s on par with, say, like Louisiana's number 1? What kind of roster is Troy going up against here, and how can we compare it against who they played? Duke's team composite talent ranking at 247 Sports is 67th, so that's actually, not that much higher than some of the other Sun Belt teams that they're playing. App State's like 84, Louisiana's 97. So, like, losing your top players, all your best players, kind of brings you down to maybe a mid-level Sun Belt team, and that's kind of the way that I looked at this. At this side of 7, though, it's tough to lay the points with Troy. Duke's potentially without their 2 best defensive linemen. So I expect Troy to look to Kamani Vidal, who led the Sun Belt with 1,350 rushing yards this year. However, the Trojans' passing attack was actually what carried this offense toward the end of the year. They really hit their stride. And Gunnar Watson finished 24th in overall passer rating.
Yeah, Brett, bowl season means something different to just about everyone these days. Depends who you ask, if they even want to be playing in the game, right? But if you go back to the root of bowl season, it was about rewarding teams that had phenomenal years. And these 2 teams are the epitome of just that. Per my power ratings, this is the best Duke team since 1994. It's the best Troy team ever, Brett, at least since 2001, when the Trojans made the jump to the highest level of college football, which is what my data set includes, only teams playing at the highest level at any given point in time. So while both these teams had great seasons, Troy's, and you talked about it, Brett, it was slightly better relative to the expectations. The Trojans finished in the top 15 in both power rating improvement and wins relative to expected. Despite the notable opt-outs, Brett, that you touched on, this is the type of bowl game that I personally get most excited for. I'm very, very excited about this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's, we see a couple of these every year where, like, one of the teams is very good, very motivated, and has a chance to make a real statement win at the end of the year. I see more continuity in Troy, of course, and I think they'll be able to move the ball pretty well against a Duke defense that the cupboards are pretty bare for this game here. I actually like over 26.5 team total for Troy. There's multiple ways that they can score on Duke. Duke's secondary is a big concern. It's very injured right now. Their top corner, Miles Jones, has not played in a long time. So I think that Troy will be able to move the ball through the air and counter with a strong run game without Duke's defensive lineman there. And I kind of like over 44.5 as well. Without Riley Leonard week 7 on, Duke still moved the ball pretty well, and they scored points. They averaged 31.5 points in those 4 games, never went under 24. So final note here, Troy does have a decided travel advantage. They're just 136 miles away from Birmingham.